In the opening days of the 2026 World Cup, Qatar found themselves out to play for almost the entire match against Switzerland, outshot, outpossessed, completely on the back foot. Then, deep into stoppage time, their captain rose to meet a cross and power home one equalizer that felt impossible given everything the match had become. Meanwhile, in another match the same week, Cape Verde's 40-year-old goalkeeper Jose Dias, known as Vozinha, makes save after save after save to hold a famous 0-0 draw against Spain, one of the strongest teams in the world. So, by the final whistle, he was in tears, understandably overwhelmed, emotional, talking about his family, of course. As you imagine, or if you watched, two completely different pressure moments, two completely different ways of letting it out once the whistle blew. But in the moment itself, ball in the air, header coming at him, nothing automatic about either situation. Both of them were locked in. That is the part worth paying attention to. What happens during the pressure, not what happens after it. And that's what we are talking about today. Hi there, my name is Kelly, and today we are talking about why some players, some athletes, choke under pressure while others not. And please stick around until the end because I have something for you. I'm sure you have felt this in your life at some point, even far away from a stadium. The job interview where your mind goes blank, the conversation where you knew exactly what to say 5 minutes later, but not in the moment. The presentation where your voice shook even though you'd rehearsed it 20 times. Most people assume choking under pressure means you're not tough enough, not talented enough, or just not built for that. But the sports psychologists have a much more specific explanation. It has nothing to do with toughness. Researchers studying penalty shootouts have found that under high pressure, players become more self-focused. In other words, consciously monitoring movement that are normally automatic. That extra layer of self-monitoring is what breaks the performance. The body already knows what to do. The problem is the mind suddenly starts narrating and supervises every step, and the narration gets in the way of things. But here's the deeper layer underneath that research, though. What gets activated in that self-monitoring moment isn't random. It's whatever identity you already carry into the pressure. So, if some part of you already believes, I'm the kind of person this goes wrong for, that belief is exactly what your mind reaches for to narrate the moment. Get it? So, in reality, pressure doesn't create the panic. Pressure reveals the self-concept that was already sitting underneath waiting for a spotlight. And this lines up with a separate body of research on the stress mindset. People who view pressure as resource rather than a threat actually show different physiological responses to the same stressful event. So, in other words, the external situation is identical, but the internal identity attached to it is what changes the outcome. So the real work isn't calming down in the pressure moment, because by the time you're there, it's often too late to think your way out of it. The work happens earlier in how you've been narrating yourself in ordinary low-stakes moments. Every time you say, I always mess this up, or I'm not good under pressure, you are actually rehearsing the exact identity that shows up later and hijacks you. The composure that Vozinha showed during the run of the game, save after save with the match still hanging in the balance, wasn't built in those 90 minutes. He'd clearly been building that identity for years in training sessions nobody filmed. The tears afterward, they weren't a crack in that composure. They were just what was waiting underneath once the pressure finally had somewhere to go. Let me just propose you something. Start to notice the small everyday version of this pattern. For example, the moment your inbox gets stressful, or the moment a conversation gets tense. What does your inner voice say about you in that moment? The sentence? Write them down. Is the identity you're rehearsing for the bigger pressure moment is still ahead of you? In the end, the players who hold it together in the world's brightest, highest stakes moments didn't get lucky with their nervous systems. They built a different relationship with pressure, one ordinary moment at a time. And that's something you can start doing today with whatever pressure is in front of you right now. And if you want a simple framework for identifying and rewriting the identity that shows up when you're under pressure, I'm covering it in my free abundance activation kit, full of goodness, and I'll leave the link in the description below. And if you got a choke moment that's been stuck in your head, drop in the comments. I would love to read it. And please don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know the next time I upload new videos. So, this is what I have for you today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.